Hi guys, so today we're going to have a look at what the possible exam boards are for the GCSE Economics qualification. So let's go straight right into it. What are the exam boards? Well, there's three main exam boards. There's Edexcel, there's OCR, and there's the AQA. Now, with Edexcel, what they call it is the iGCSE, which is basically the international GCSE qualification. And what you'll find across all the exam boards is that there's two papers, and they have each 50% weighting. Paper 1, which is purely microeconomics, and paper 2, which is macroeconomics. So microeconomics, the study of individual markets, and macroeconomics is the study of the economy as a whole. Okay, and you'll be also studying maybe international economies as well. So that's what you'll have with the Edexcel. They're 90 minutes each, so 1.5 hours, and you can have a mix, of multiple choice questions, short answer, and data response. Now, in the next exam board, you'll have, which is AQA, and again, two papers, and paper 1 is purely microeconomics, paper 2, macroeconomics, so 50% weighting each. Here you actually have a bit more time, you have 1 hour and 45 minutes, however, roughly the same layout, multiple choice questions, as well as a mix of calculations, short and extended responses. And then lastly, you have the OCR GCSE Economics, where again, two papers, 90 minutes each, 50% weighting, paper 1, which is purely microeconomics, and paper 2, which is macroeconomics. So you've got the study of also maybe the UK economy, but also as well as that international economies. So how do you smash it? How do you get the level 9? Well, the way you really do well at GCSEs is to focus on the understanding and the ability to apply the economic knowledge. Now, don't get me wrong, you have to memorize the key terms. Okay, every specification or every syllabus in terms of a textbook will tell you what definitions you need to know, and it's very, very important that you actually understand them as well as are able to recall them. However, you cannot just go into an exam, memorize those terms the night before, walk in and expect to get a level 9. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Okay, you need to have the ability to apply that knowledge in the specific context. You'll have a look at this table. This is from the Edexcel specification, the assessment objectives. And what you'll find is 48 to 49% of the international GCSE qualification for Edexcel Economics is demonstrating an understanding and applying economic knowledge and using the appropriate terms, concepts, theories, calculations effectively in specific contexts. So it's not just memorization, okay? It's actually understanding those terms. If you have a look at the top, which is AO1, which is recalling, selecting, and communicating knowledge of economic terms, concepts, and issues, that's only 14, 15%. So analysis and demonstrating that understanding is the most important. But so is evaluation. We're going to have a look at this a little bit later on, but evaluation is actually what probably separates somebody getting a level 9 or a level 6 or 7. Okay, we will have a look at that shortly. I probably will make a video later on purely on evaluation, so actually and how to separate yourself to other students. So let's have a look at what this means. Well, what does a grade 7 student mean minimum? Okay, so this is grade 7. If you're grade 8 or 9, obviously it's going to be this plus a bit more. So grade 7, as you can see on the second bullet point, multiple choice questions, very likely to answer all of them correctly. This is the most secure. This is where you probably are on a borderline of getting an 8. You're not on the borderline of getting the grade 7. Your questions, you're consistent, you're accurate calculations, interpretation, you're likely to use context from wide reading. Okay, so you have not just gone into the exam, memorized the textbook or your teacher's notes and gone in. You've actually taken some time out of your day to go through economic theories, news, which is economic related, and put them in to your questions when necessary. Answers will flow, evaluations when needed, it'll be thorough, it'll be balanced, and you're able to make conclusions. So that is the most secure students of who will probably get a very high level 7 or higher. A grade 7 secure, which is basically in the middle, okay, the middle between getting a grade 7 or grade 8, is probably the same roughly, where you multiple choices, you're likely to answer all of them mostly correct, maybe an odd 1 or 2 wrong. Again, your answers will flow. You've made evaluation when needed. So I just want you to focus on the evaluation point, which is the second last bullet point. For both grade 7 most secure and grade 7 secure, your evaluation is thorough, it's balanced, you've got full awareness, okay, you understand how to evaluate when necessary. The multiple choice questions, you're able to answer them all correctly, you've got good subject knowledge. This is very, very crucial. You know, if you know how to answer the multiple choice questions, you're able to answer the questions in a consistent and accurate way, you are probably going to get a grade 7 or higher. Now, what about if you're a borderline? What if you're at the position where you may not be a grade 7, you may be a grade 6? Well, for most part, the subject knowledge is good, okay, but multiple choice questions, again, you're likely to answer most correctly. But if you have a look just at the near bottom where it says evaluation, okay, it's likely to be present, but it won't lack balance. You know, it's gonna lack balance, apologies. So one side of a competing argument may be stronger than another. Remember, in economics, you always have to be balanced. You cannot be just purely one-sided. This is a lot of big mistakes that students make, where they tend to be just one-sided. Okay, if you're one-sided in an economics essay or an economics question, you probably will not get the 7 or the higher. Again, at the bottom, conclusions are likely to be present, but they may not necessarily appreciate the full consequences of the preceding arguments. So, you know, if you want to make sure that you are basically the grade 7 most secure, as well as answering all the multiple choice questions correctly, make sure that your evaluation and your conclusion is relevant and it's not just one-sided, you're balanced. Okay, that's very, very important. Now, let's have a look at the grade 4. I'm sure many of you who are listening to this are not aiming for a grade 4, but we're going to have a look at it. How do we know whether you're a definite grade 4? Well, multiple choice questions, unlikely to answer all of them correctly, maybe 4 or even 5. Okay, so in terms of subject knowledge, it's reasonable, but it ain't great. Okay, if you're looking here towards the bottom again, evaluation, usually present, but again, likely to lack balance. Okay, one side of a competing argument may be stronger. So this whole recurrent theme of your evaluation just being one-sided, you're not balanced, this literally is the difference between a grade 4 and a grade 7. Okay, if your evaluation and your analysis is not strong, or it's too one-sided, you're just not going to get to that level 7, 8 or 9. If we carry on for grade 4 secure students, you know, multiple choice questions, you're unlikely to answer all of them correctly, maybe just 4. Okay, that to me would say you don't really know the knowledge that well. You're quite weak. You know, this is somebody who's probably gone in to the exam memorizing maybe a CGP textbook the night before and trying to think that they can wing it. Unfortunately, that does not work at GCSE. You will not be able to do that. And again, the same thing at the bottom regarding evaluation and being one-sided. And lastly, if we have a look at the borderline grade 4s, you probably maybe, you know, this is the difference between a grade 3 and a grade 4. Multiple choice questions, again, you're unlikely to answer all of them. Your calculations have got probably errors. Diagrams have got errors. You really just don't really know the subject at all. Okay, you've just gone in, thought that you would wing it, but clearly, you know, you're now at the situation where you could even get a grade 3. Okay, so this is very important. So that's literally the difference between someone who is a grade 4 and someone who is a grade 7 or higher. Now, with AQA, this applies to all exam boards. Okay, but I've just used AQA as a good example where they've got on their website a subject-specific vocabulary. Now, I did say before, you cannot just go into an exam and think, okay, well, I'm just going to memorize all these terms and I'll be fine. Okay, that's not how it works. You do definitely need to know the key terms. It is important. Okay, you do need to sort of memorize these terms, but okay, you need to actually understand what they mean. How do you use them in your answers so that you can be the person who gets a grade 7 or higher? Okay, you do not just want to go in there and say, okay, well, look, average revenue is this. Okay, you want to know, well, how am I going to actually apply this term of average revenue, as well as showing what the definition of average revenue is. Lastly, on the edXL specification, what they do show is that you need to know what the keywords mean. Okay, so for example, you're going to have a 12-mark questions, which are going to say evaluate something, or 9-mark questions, or 6 marks, or 3 marks. I may do a video later on about this, of how to actually answer these type of questions, but it's very, very important that you know what all of these keywords or key command words mean, so that when you sort of see them in your exam papers, you know exactly what you need to do and how to answer the question. So that is it. So that is actually the difference of actually how you can smash GCSE economics. It doesn't really matter what exam board you are, because in terms of the content, there is an overlap between all of them. The main thing is, just going back, is actually this, making sure that you actually memorize. How do I get a grade 7 or higher? My evaluation has to be strong. I really need to know the content. The answers have to flow. I've got to be confident in knowing that my arguments are going to be two-sided, not just one-sided. I've got good conclusions and judgments, and I really know the content well. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a bit of a brief insight into what you need to be aiming for to get a grade 7 or higher in GCSE economics. Thank you very much. Leave comments or questions below, and hopefully I'll join you on the next video.